What is an adult problem that nobody prepared you for? Watching your parents growing old. It starts so slowly and suddenly you have to help your father carrying things. Notice how tired they have become. My dad was a very hard-working man. Loved his job. When he was fired he already reached retirement age, but he wanted to work much longer. He was healthy and filled with positive energy. After he was fired in 1 year he turned into an old man. A lot of sicknesses, mainly mental, emerged. Now he cannot be left alone for more than 1-2 hours. This transformation was really hard for me to swallow. Mental health decline is the worst part. My dad at 72 is very forgetful and gets angry when you correct him. He misremembers so much stuff that you would think he is a pathological liar, but his memory's just that bad now. I still love the guy, but it makes it very difficult to be around him for extended periods. That no matter how much effort you put into something, things don't always wind up the way you plan. Especially relationships. You can do everything right and still lose. That you do not feel like an adult. Just still a lost kid trying to figure stuff out. Like I am old enough to have miniature people under my care, yet I don't feel that much bigger than a miniature human myself. I can barely look after myself, let alone think about a mini-me. My shoulder hurts. I told the doctor and he said that is right. And then he pointed to the other one and said that is left. Wow. Incredible analysis, doctor. Loss of family. Sooner or later everyone dies. Mortality is something that I feel children are usually not prepared for. It is a topic that most adults avoid at all costs, and that is why it belongs on this list. Yes, you are right. If the adults were not afraid of death and talked about it more often, growing children would not be afraid of it either. But it is a vicious circle. Just how much things cost. For example, when I first moved in with my then girlfriend, now wife, we filled our pantry with what we considered essentials: salt, pepper, flour, oil, etc. Almost had a heart attack when the total cost came through. Growing up it was always just there when we needed it. Now I was responsible for this stuff. Honestly, it is the groceries that is a big shocker. I also did not have a clue a few biscuits, noodles, coffee, and essentials could cost me so much. Seriously, I thought shopping was going to be like that scene in the Tom Hanks movie when he starts flipping out about his shopping cart full to the brim being 50 days as a basket at Whole Foods. Well, there is your problem. Whole Foods is consistently overpriced. Just putting the word organic on something means they can charge a lot more for it. I always try to do my grocery shopping at Aldi. It is a lot cheaper than most major grocery store chains. On average I end up paying 70% of what I'd be paying at a Giant Eagle. I live around Pittsburgh. Death of a loved one. I have dealt with my wife and sister dying. Cancer in both cases. My sister took 4 years. My wife 3 months. My advice to others based on my EXP. There was no getting over it, you learn to live with it. Be close to family if you can. They can help more than you know to be. Remember the people that were there for you. That is a friend. Do not beat yourself up. I went through a period wishing death had taken me, not my wife. It is okay to cry. And if you are going through this, good luck, my friend. I do not know you, but I have walked that road and you are not alone. Thank you for this post. I have a colleague at work who lost his wife in November. I did like to help support him, but I do not know how. While we get along well, I am his boss, so I do not want to overstep or put him in an awkward position. Do you have any insights or suggestions? Having to decide what you want to have for dinner every day for the rest of your life. I really didn't think I'd spend so much time doing this. I eat the same handful of meals way more often than I thought I would, and my mother makes fun of me for it. I also have limited creativity when it comes to meals. I have ingredients to make stuff. I just do not often bother. I have basic and slightly beyond basic ingredients. I get annoyed with the lack of space or things going bad when it comes to more obscure or recipe-specific ingredients though. Loneliness. As a kid there was always lots of other kids around. You were not left completely unattended for any significant period of time. As an adult, I can go weeks without talking to anyone about anything not work-related. There was also school, so you could see everyone every day. And next to no responsibilities to hold down, so your biggest worry was hanging with friends or fear of missing out. Makes me really hurt for those kids who had to switch over to homeschool this year. Suddenly, no more seeing your friends and the world is a lot heavier. Must have been a huge smack in the face. Comparing yourself to your parents when they were your age and realizing they did not know what the heck they were doing either. For me, the scary thing is exactly the opposite. Of course, I can remember my mom having some silly ideas, or totally exaggerating parenting, but I also feel like her life made more sense. Her career was related to her field of study and she was already in a decent place there. She had her home. Grandma and grandpa were there. Had her circle. I am not saying this in a boring sense. I think her life had plenty content. But she knew where she was and where she was going. I feel like I am just drifting. I have no idea what I want or where I want to be. Any idea of permanency scares me. Nothing I have or am or am doing now feels like something I want to commit to for the next X years. Well said. Not having enough time or energy for stuff you want to do. And I'm saying this as a person whose only real obligation is work. Like, sure, I can go hang out on the weekend, but then it feels like a chore. Everything feels like a chore. You do not have that simple assurance that you are doing what you should be doing and doing it well. Some people of course do. Some people know exactly what they want. But people like me. School was great. It gave me structure. It was my obligation and I knew exactly how good at it I was. So there was nothing to worry about. Other frame of reference were your parents. If they are proud, you were doing good, not maybe too extreme but in a general way. Now it's all so uncertain. Should I be here? Should I be doing this? Should I focus on something else? And there is some frustrated urgency, but nothing is really clear. It is not like setting a goal or knowing what you want is easy. In one moment you get hyped over something. In the next moment your own motivations are so obviously phony and stupid. Maybe you just do not know and cannot convince yourself otherwise. I mean, how are you supposed to know what all other possibilities could lead to? You cannot try them all. Indecision is paralyzing and time moves too fast. I guess yes. Everything feels like a chore. Get the oil changed. Watch a movie I have been meaning to see. Call a vet. Get on a Zoom with friends. Once it is scheduled, it is all just more chores. Even if it will be enjoyable while I am doing it, I dread it. How little time and energy I did have after finishing work for the day. This for sure. I work my ass off 7:35 during the week and 8 noon on Saturdays because it helps my paycheck hitting efficiency and revenue goals. I am so exhausted that I find my hobbies are slowly becoming fewer and fewer and my friendship circle is a lot smaller. On Saturdays after work I typically do all my chores for the week, and Sunday yes, all I really do is relax. Hard work and dedication does not always equal result and reward. How cruel the world really is. You okay, bud? Laughing yes. As a kid everything was just fun and you didn't have to do anything and had no stress. As you are older you have to work some shitty job to be able to afford food and poop. How often you will be cleaning your ducking kitchen. Between dishes, the floors, the countertops, the stovetops, the oven, the little crevices in the fridge, the shelving in the fridge. Oh, and once every 6 months you should pull the appliances out and sweep mop behind them as much as possible. Duck. It is truly non-damned stop, and no one tells you this when you grow up. Then you add kids or animals to the mix, who either cannot or simply do not help clean up their messes, and it truly is a non-stop battle. Just keeping it semi-sanitary is a literal chore. Clear direction, I suppose. All the way up until college, you were pretty much told what to do and how to do it. Once you were out of school, working for a few years, you realize that society stops telling you what to do, which can be freeing, but it can also be terrifying. I know people who have literally jumped into grad school and PhD programs because it was such a clearer path for them. Loneliness post-university. I have been dealing with this one lately. How do you meet people after college? During COVID, I recently graduated a few months ago, so I am not the biggest help. I barely see the friends I do have. I have been trying Tinder, Bumble, BFF, but not much luck yet since the canvas is so dry. I hate online dating apps. It's so superficial and there's so much pressure for the guy to keep the conversation going, which is wrong because it should be a two-way street. I have tried doing like meetup hikes, but all of the meetups near me are full of like 40-50-year-olds, which is fine. But I want to try to make friends around my age range. Mental illness showing up out of the blue and ruining everything. I fucking hate mental illness so much. It ruins so much that could be and ruin things that are good. Probably how much nothingness there is after college. There is a famous digital painting I always go back to look at once in a while called Life Until Graduation. Link. Once the structure of school is gone, it is like an endless void of this is it, and what is next. I am not one that usually appreciates art, but that picture, I do not know how to describe it. Clicks. Gastritis. Irritable bowel syndrome. Hello fellow sufferer. How to use money wisely. I am teaching myself how to do so. So many people do not understand the difference between I have enough money and I can afford it. I am always saying I can't afford it even though I have enough money. What I really mean is I can't justify it. Getting really sick and needing to go to the doctor but there is no one there to take you. Tax. Especially property taxes. Holy poop. I am always surprised how much of my escrow goes to my home's property tax. Doesn't it help our school district and county are always passing improvement funding legislation? But vehicle property tax is another one no one really prepared me for. This is why I feel like my head might explode when people say having a mortgage will be so much cheaper than renting. 9-10 chance they are forgetting property tax and insurance. Some people will always see you as a child, so they would not respect your boundaries or experience even if you know more than they do. Confrontation. I work retail and apparently do this wrong. Funny that there was no class or training on how to shut up and smile when you're being screamed at for things that aren't your fault. That tough. It is not your fault but you're the interface that they have to the company that they blame. Or, in some cases, you are just a non-threatening thing that people are venting to because a lot of frustration has built up for them. It is unfortunate but it is not about you as a person. The lies. The corruption. How to figure out what is really important in this life. How much work it is to maintain a large home, alone. I bought my first house in June last year. Then my fiancé and I broke up. I am seriously considering selling it and moving into a condo at this point. I did it a couple years ago. Sold my large house I never even fully furnished. I live in a small bachelorette now. It makes more sense. I am a minimalist. Frugal. My ideal would be living in a little efficient self-contained perfectly insulated box out in the middle of nowhere, off the grid. But the logistics of life there make it too difficult to attempt right now. I do not really need or want much space. Society led me to believe that was the thing to do. So I did it and was doing terrible cause of it. I am just here temporarily cause it is easy. When I moved I got rid of almost all I owned too. Not that I had much to begin with. I can leave to anywhere at a moment's notice. I have nothing holding me here anymore. It is nice having the option. I just got nowhere to go. Nothing to do that I can think of at the moment. One day though, I expect there will be. I never thought I did have to chase a good night's sleep. I definitely took sleep for granted when I was younger. How often you can do everything right and still end up losing. But then you can still end up being punished because you didn't win. And this applies to literally everything. It is a very sobering reality check later in life when you realize that what you put in is what you will get out is basically only a half-truth. No success is ever guaranteed for circumstances we just cannot control. There is a gradual acceptance that some things just are not worth the effort. And I think it is a maturity of the adult frame of mind. Lots of ennui along the way. Working 9-5 technically means working 8-6, as you have to commute to work every day. Then when the weekends come, you are so drained that you just want to sleep and talk with your soul. As a result, making friends or maintaining old relationships is ducking hard. If you do put in the effort, then you will be exhausted afterwards. I have no idea how adults can raise kids on top of this. All being an adult seems to be is working to live. Shit's hard. The long slog. It seemed when I was young there was always a half-term around the corner, and a long holiday period on the horizon. I knew my scheduled school hours, and there was no deviation from that. Now that I'm an adult, I often do not know when my next holiday is. I just have to head into work, day after day after day after day with no tangible end in sight. Not only that, but the predictability of my schedule is totally out of the window. I am at work right now, and I am not very busy. But for all I know, something will come up and I will be in the office an extra couple of hours. The slog is even worse than that though. When I was in school, there was always a finish line off in the distance. The end of school. The beginning of a new chapter. There is no such end now. Or at the very least there is no way to see it. I might be doing the same work for the next 70 years. I have no idea. I cannot see the end anymore. And I just have to keep going until I die. Balancing life in general. Between working full-time, maintaining a healthy romantic relationship, eating healthy, staying active, having to go grocery shopping, paying the bills, all while having to stay in contact with close friends and family. Sometimes it just does not feel like there is enough time in life. That is why it is so important to prioritize, but it is difficult. Nobody really prepares you for the fact that you will inevitably lose friends, that you will probably gain a bit of weight, that you will have struggles with work-life balance, etc. That it doesn't matter how much sleep you get. You will be in a perpetual state of exhaustion.